Everything you're about to hear is for entertainment purposes only. Listen, have some fun, but don't ever do, believe, or promote anything they say. They're idiots.
Guys, hold up. You should know, this ain't for everybody. Welcome to Savagely Loud. What's happening, people? Guys, welcome back to the show that understands the facts divided by feelings equals failure. I'm Clip, I'm your host, and today we're going to get into the homelessness issue. Actually, we're going to get into several facets of the homelessness issue, and it's going to tickle some people's special spots, I'm assuring you that. But before we go any further, guys, if you want to help me get these messages out, you can follow me on Instagram. That is where I'm most active. Savagely Loud on Instagram. On that page, you will find a link to my other page, Savagely Loud podcast page, which will inevitably be my backup when they shut me down. You can also find me on Facebook, TikTok, X, and Rumble under Savagely Loud, and YouTube under Savagely Loud Podcast. Guys, don't forget to click the like, follow, all the bells and buttons and all the shares and all that stuff. Comment, engage with it, share it with your friends. If we want to get this message out, we're going to need all the help we can get. So help me out. Spread the message, follow me on my things, on my pages, and if you're ever confused as to where you might be able to find me, you can hit that Instagram page, and there is a link tree on there that has links to all of my pages. The website is being hatched as we speak, so eventually we'll add the website to the link tree. You can also, last but not least, you can also email me in at savagelyloud@gmail.com. That will eventually be something at savagelyloud.com. But for now, it's savagelyloud@gmail.com. You can email me in with anything you want. You want to give me praise, talk your shit, do everything you want to do. I don't really care. Just hit me up. So, guys, before we get to all this homelessness stuff, let's start on a little bit lighter-hearted note, okay? So I got shut down again, and it's not in a way you might think. Maybe you can relate, guys. I tend to think that I'm a bad motherfucker. Like, I can handle myself in just about any scenario I find myself in, and then something will come out of the blue and prove that I'm a huge pussy. So, guys, the other day I was, doing some yard work, and I needed to close the shed. I noticed I left the shed open, so I needed to close the shed. So I go traipsing across the yard. I'm all sweaty. I'm jacked up from working all day. I'm fucking rare in form, rare mood. And as I go to approach the shed, I go to close the shed, and I notice that there's a shovel handle hanging out. So I go to bend down, push the shovel handle back in the shed, because it's just standing right there, Right then and there. Right then and there, I got shut the fuck down. And you're never going to guess what shut me down. Guys, I bent down to move that shovel handle, and I heard a click, click, click. And I was like, what the fuck is that? And I looked up, and it had to be the biggest fucking cicada that I've ever seen in my life. Now, I know, they don't bite, they don't shit on you, they don't spread any diseases, they don't do anything, but these motherfuckers are just fucking gross. And right then, a 6'2", 250-pound man covered in tattoos and some really controversial opinions got shut down by a fucking bug. I still haven't closed the fucking door. I don't even know if it's still there. That was days ago. So I will eventually venture back over there and figure it out. But have you ever been shut down like that? Like, you ever go to walk in your door and you see a big spider or a June bug or something stupid that shouldn't shut you down, but it shuts you all the way down, and then you kind of walk away timidly with your tail between your legs thinking about how much of a bitch you are? Yeah, that happened to me a couple of days ago. So enjoy, revel, have fun with it. I do. Why not? I'm a huge pussy from time to time on some of the most pussy shit. It's just the way it is. That's the reality. That's what we have to accept, right? The reality of things. Guys, that being said, let's break into this homelessness issue that I want to talk about the different aspects, because a lot of the times we don't hear the aspects of the homeless conversation that we need to hear. We just hear all the fluff, all the frills, all the niceties and pleasantries. We hear all the good hearts and the save the world kind of type shit, but we don't hear the reality behind the homelessness issue. Now, before we get into the big topics, the big meat and potatoes of the day, let me start out by telling you I have been homeless. I've been homeless 3 times. Yes, I've gone through it before, but for those that are new, I've been homeless 3 times. I've lived in my truck, and I've done everything I could do to get out of those homelessness situations. So I know it can be done. Yes, I've had to do it 3 times because I've fucked my life up that badly 3 fucking times. Worse than that many other times, but by the grace of God, I remained in a place of living, you know, so... But I have been homeless 3 times, and so I will get into my perception of homelessness, homeless people, and everything as we go. But if we're going to really understand where I'm coming from with my perspectives, we have to understand the reality of the current state of affairs when it regards homelessness. So I've got some numbers for you. I've got some information for you. I want to run this information out to you so that you have a baseline of understanding of what we're actually dealing with here, okay? So as far as the world population, everybody that's alive, homed, not homed, all of this, we're looking at about 8.2 billion people, right? So then we look at the homeless problem worldwide, and the homeless problem worldwide, as I have found, and I will get into structuring my backing for these statements in a second here. As I have found on the internet, homelessness worldwide is about 150 million homeless people. So worldwide, we have about 150 million homeless people. That would equate to roughly half of America going homeless and then just being that. Now, I know that sounds really fucking bad. If it doesn't sound bad, you're coming from a place of non-understanding. You got to get into your human part. Get into that humanity aspect where we want to address reality with a little bit of fucking grace right out of the gate. But here's the issue. There's 150 million people that are homeless across the world. But on top of that, the bigger problem. On top of that, there is an estimated 1.6 billion with a B who, quote, lack adequate housing. Now, the way they judge this, and I've looked into this, the way they judge inadequate housing, right, is like if you've seen videos of trash cities in the Middle East, like little trash cities, like the whole city is a trash processing central, you know, a plant for the whatever surrounding areas. People that will have like makeshift houses built out of bags of trash go into this category. So if you're living in a stack of trash that you've hollowed out enough to sleep in, you fall into the category of lack adequate housing, not homeless. That also goes for places like for people that live in caves, shelters, makeshift encampments, all of this stuff. So if you don't have an actual home with you know, running water and toiletries and all this other shit, you fall into either the category of homeless at 150 million or lacking adequate housing at 1.6 billion. When you add those up, that's about 20% of the world's population that it's relatively safe to say is either fully homeless or is a homeless person masquerading as an inadequately homed person, okay? So we've got 20% of the world's population that's looking at homelessness and dire straits, you know, just destitution and desperation. But there's something to note about these numbers. Now, as I've said, I've cross-referenced these numbers across the internet, and they all seem to match up within a fraction, you know what I mean? But here's something to note about these numbers. These numbers, the 150 million homeless and the 1.6 billion lacking adequate housing, is actually a number that got released in 2016 from Habitat for Humanity. Okay? And this number has not changed since 2016, despite 15 million people a year going homeless. Okay? That's an estimate, of course, but estimatedly 15 million people a year go homeless. So we're not pulling anybody out of homelessness. We're shoving people into homelessness, but it doesn't seem like the numbers aren't moving. And here's another thing to note. They haven't changed all the way through 2025 from 2016, despite rising populations. And in 2021, the World Economic Forum echoed these numbers. In 2021, the World Economic Forum held one of their fucking big meetings, and they echoed these numbers exactly. 150 million people homeless and 1.6 billion people lacking adequate housing. To me, this may suggest some things. I'm going to make some allegations. It's just a thought. It's not an accusation. It's just, maybe this could suggest a couple of different things. Grace and Nuance put forth, this could suggest that no matter what we do, we're always going to have about a 20% baseline of humans that will always be homeless. That means no matter how much money, no matter how many organizations we form, no matter how many programs we facilitate, no matter how many aid deliveries we do, no matter how many encampments we set up, no matter what kind of work or financial devotion we show to this cause, we may just always have a 20% homelessness rate. We just might always have that. That could factually be the baseline. You know, like I always say, the world needs fried cooks too. The world just might need 20% homeless fucking people no matter what we do. It could suggest that. But you know me. I think it suggests a little something else. I think it suggests that it might be a money-making scheme. I'm just saying it might be a money-making scheme because I personally, to give you a little background for those that are new, I've run charity organizations, I've owned charity organizations, and I've strictly just helped other charity organizations. So I've got a little thing or two in my brain about charities. And when I ran my own charity organization, we only did local charities because these massive, giant, national and international global conglomerates of charities, they don't help anybody. They really just don't. At least they don't help as many people as they could. And there are a lot of these are sold to you under the guise of being a charity, but it's really not. Like a good example that I like to use is Wounded Warrior. When Wounded Warrior first started, it was a very small charity, and they donated almost, I mean, so close to fucking 100% that it was something truly amazing, something to truly behold. But for those that don't know, Under Armour actually bought Wounded Warrior and turned it into a brand. So now when you donate to Wounded Warrior, we're talking pennies on the dollar, if that much, actually go to the donations, to the helping of other people. The rest of it goes to funding the corporation. That's what these things are labeled as. It's called funding the corporation, funding the charity. But if we go a little bit deeper, and I'm not going to make the whole episode about this, but I do want to make this note, because a lot of people think Habitat for Humanity is this giant, great thing, when it might just not be, okay? And maybe one day we'll do an episode on just Habitat for Humanity and charities like it, but just baseline stuff here. The CEO of Habitat for Humanity is Jonathan Reckford. Care to guess what his salary is? It's actually probably less than you might guess. His salary is $494,774 a year. Now, as a person that has run charities, I understand that this can be an incredibly stressful endeavor, incredibly difficult endeavor. Just on my small scale, for 3 years, we raised over $150,000 for local charities through doing events and working events. And in just 3 years, I was ready to gouge my own heart out with a paring knife and throw it on the floor and stomp on it rather than do charity work. It sucks. It's very difficult. It's very hard. And anybody that does it that you may know, or even if you do it, congratulate them or congratulations to you, because it is a motherfucker. However, I will say that it's for the runners of the scenarios. The people that just show up every now and then and spend a couple hours slinging slop at a food kitchen, that's not that difficult. Thanks for your help, but we're probably going to put the big thanks on hold until the end of the episode, because I've got some things, you got some perspectives I want to let you in on. But now, like I said, it might be his salary might be a little bit less than you were expecting, $494,774 a year. However, we're going to go back to 2020, and it's only gone up since then, but the newer records are very hard to find for Habitat for Humanity's revenue. In 2020, they pulled in $287 million. Now, $287 million sounds like a lot of fucking money, because it is. It's a lot of money. Just out of who they helped in that, if you were considering they did it out of that $287 million, it was nowhere near $287 million. There was a lot of funding the corporation happening there. But on top of that $287 million that I have to assume because it doesn't actually label this anywhere, and I've been to a multitude of sites, I'd have to assume that this is a domestic product. This is what they've brought in domestically in America at $287 million, because on top of that, they also brought in an additional $2.3 billion with a B from its Federated Global Network. So now you have a company that pulls in about $2.6 billion. And it puts very little of that to work. Very little of that to work. Like I said, I'm not going to make the whole episode about this, but it seems to me that somebody that makes $500,000 a year to run a charity that could be, or is most likely, a giant fucking pain in the ass, as Habitat for Humanity probably is, because like I said, running a charity of any sort is a fucking nightmare. That's a little bit light, but just to put the thought out there, I mean, yeah, $500,000's a little bit light, but you also do have access to $2.6 billion that you could very easily fudge. You can, you know what I'm saying? Wink, wink, hint, hint, you know? But we're going to leave it there so that we don't get sued, because he might be on the up and up. Everybody in that corporation might be on the up and up. And for, the lawsuit's sake, we're going to say that they are, okay? But it's something to think about. Now, back to the numbers, guys. We've done the homeless population worldwide being 150 million people and 1.6 billion who lack adequate housing. In America, take a guess at how many people are homeless recorded in America. And obviously, these are all estimates. But there is 775,000 homeless people in America. Now, I get that sounds really bad. That's a lot of fucking homeless people. We have to acknowledge the reality here about these people. Before we go further, I am not about to approach this topic with a lot of grace and a lot of nuance, because I don't find that to be helpful. I don't find bleeding hearts and pouring grace and nuance all over everything to be very helpful at all, which is why we keep seeing, not only, but a large part of why we keep seeing the homeless rates rise. They just keep rising. What's weird is that the big number never goes down, but our local numbers always seem to go up. If you ever look into your state and local municipalities, the numbers seem to go up, but that big 150/1.6 billion never seems to go up. And that's what makes me think that it was high from the get-go. Everybody that goes homeless can fit in comfortably inside of that number, and that's why they use that number, is because it's a huge money-making scheme. If there's anything that was making money nowadays more than fucking anything, it's tech, and right under tech is fucking charity. So keep that in mind. Charities make a lot of fucking money and donate a very little fucking money. So let's just dive into some numbers here with the homelessness, okay? In America. So the crime rates, obviously, it's very well known that the crime rates are going to rise in homeless areas, but how much do they rise? I always thought they were at least twice as bad, probably 3 times as bad, but I was wrong, because crime rates are on average 40 times higher for violent crimes than non-homeless areas, and 27% higher for non-violent crimes than non-homeless areas. So I was completely way off, and I'm guessing a lot of you guys were too. 40 times higher violent crime rate in homeless areas. 27 times, not percent, times higher non-violent crime rates in homeless areas. The drug use. 65% of the people that were polled in the studies that I read, it turns out they've used illicit drugs in the last 2 weeks. I know it's a fucking shocker. I know it's a mind blower to hear that somebody's blowing out the back of a heroin pipe when they're homeless. I get it. I understand. So maybe you should buckle up and stay in your place because another shocking one is coming. 38% of homeless people have what is labeled an extreme, air quotes, extreme alcohol problem. 38%. So nearly half of the homeless people are alcoholics. And I personally despise alcoholics. We could get into that if you want to, but I personally fucking despise alcoholics because alcohol provides nothing good. It provides no sort of safety, no sort of security, no sort of mental clarity, no sort of emotional stability. It just doesn't provide anything good. Occasionally, it provides a good time, but it's not so much of a good time if you're fucking drinking yourself into homelessness, okay? So let's move on to the next big one. SA, sexual assault, because sexual assault is a problem everywhere you go, right? But in the homeless community, it's quite a bit worse, actually. Homeless women, given my notes, homeless women are 20% more likely to be raped than normal women. That's 20% more likely to be raped than normal women, okay? Some studies show that homeless women are up to 78, no, hold on, let me recant. 20% more likely to be raped than normal women. And some studies show that up to 78.8% of homeless women have already been victimized by some sort of sexual assault or rape. So in its entirety, what we're looking at, and the reason I have to lay this out is because not only do I want you to know the numbers as we move forward, or at least have a basic understanding of what we're addressing here, but I want you to have a basic understanding of the people that are homeless, the mentalities and the perceptions of realities that they keep, the habits that they have, this kind of type thing. Because I went on I hunted down rabbit holes today. I hunted them down. Rabbit hole after rabbit hole after rabbit hole after rabbit hole. And let me tell you what I found. Actually, let me tell you what I did first. Okay, so I went, and you know, it's a video society now. So everything you're gonna research, it's gonna be written or it's gonna be video. A lot of people tend to like video. I happen to like video because I can see if you are full of shit. I can read people. I can tell your fucking idiosyncrasies when they're flaring. I can tell if you're full of shit. That's why I like videos. It's really easy for people to just type some shit, whatever the fuck they believe in on the internet, and then have us, you and I, read it as if it's gospel. But here's the thing. Videos, they tend to not lie as easily. Yes, obviously they lie, but they don't lie as easily. So let me give you a list of the types of videos that I watched. And I watched at least a dozen and a half. That's 18, at least 18 videos in each one of these segments. Okay, so I watched videos on, there was a guy that buys out local small businesses of all their food and then delivers it to the homeless. He was very entertaining. I liked that. There's a guy that buys clothes, and he goes out and buys clothes and gives them to the homeless people. A guy that hires Mexicans to basically party with him all day. He goes to Home Depot or wherever they're at, and he hires them. He brings them in, and then one video they went to a water park. A couple of videos they went to a water park and an amusement park. Another couple of videos they handed out cash and kindness, as it were. They were handing out kindness, air quotes. I liked that video. There's another one who guy buys he goes to the garage sales. And he buys out everything at the garage sale. There was one where he bought out a jelly stand from an old couple that were selling their jams and jellies and shit that were jarred up. He buys out the whole thing, and then gives it back. Never loads it up. Just how much for everything? Oh, it's $3,800. All right, cool. Here's $3,800. You keep it, sell it. I don't give a shit. And then he goes away. I thought that was pretty cool. There's a guy that just buys flowers and he walks around giving flowers to people. I thought that was probably the coolest one of the bunch, because just seeing a lot of these were older women that got these flowers, and And you really made their day. Like I love watching old people get their days made. Like I just do. It warms my fucking cold black heart. There's another guy. A guy buys cars for people. So he talks to neighbors in certain areas, and they give him stories of who's on hard time but really working, and then he goes and buys them a car, and then does that and changes their life that way. I thought that was cool. Another one, guy raises money to get people homes. Okay, so he goes around to the homeless people, and he waits until he strikes it with one, until he strikes a chord with one, and he finds some sort of hope in one, and then he'll buy him a house and get them all set up and shit. I thought that was kind of, we'll get into that. And then there was, this is probably one of the best one, actually the best one. Several of these videos were, especially the ones where the guy was buying all the food and then delivering to homeless people. Several of those videos were actually had business owners in them that were totally willing to do this, totally willing to donate all this, and then come to find out that they couldn't pay their fucking rent because the business wasn't doing that good. They were making great food, but nobody was going. They didn't have a good marketing team. Or one video, the guy that had his restaurant in a building, but the building itself was being foreclosed on because the owner of the building never did anything, and he was one of the ones that donated a lot of the shit. He's like, I mean, dude, I couldn't think of a fucking better day to do this than my last day. So let's do it. But I watched all these videos, and I watched, like I said, 12 to 18 or 18 plus of each one of them. Like I was rabbit holed into my fucking phone and my computer for hours, guys, because when I do this kind of research, I have to dive in, and I get accused a lot of being heartless and shit. But because I have such a cold view of things, I have a very black and white view of a lot of things. I have to access that humanity, that part of the heart that makes me cry when I see certain things, or hear people speak certain ways, or see the reaction from a mother or a father when their kid receives a donation that will help them, or they receive a donation that will help their child. Like I access this part, and I sit there and I vibe with it. I vibe with those feelings. I get them rolling. And here's the thing. A lot of these videos consisted of people forming GoFundMes for other people, okay? And this is where, not where I start disagreeing, but this is where I heavily disagree. Because we've seen this game play out. We've seen this movie before, and we know the ending. And I don't think at any point in time has somebody ever started a GoFundMe for a homeless person, handed them $50,000 in cash, and then had everything go well and life changed for the better. And then 10 years from now, I'm a fucking millionaire. I started my company. No. These fucking homeless people, they always use it for the dumbest shit, or they spend it in the dumbest ways, or they make the dumbest decisions, and they end up right the fuck back on the street. It's the same thing with lottery owners or lottery winners. If you do your research, look this up. It's fucking phenomenal. It's astounding. You're going to have your mind blown and your jaw dropped when you look at how many fucking people have won the lottery, become mega millionaires, and are now completely fucking broke again. The problem isn't money. The problem isn't not having money. The problem is not knowing how to use money to benefit you in the long haul. So for all these people, my problem starts with helping, right? And I know that sounds a little fucking rough. It sounds a little cold, but my problem starts with the help that these people are giving. When you go to a homeless encampment, let's say you're surrounded by 50 homeless people, right? You got a bag full of tacos, because this was one of the videos I saw. You got a bag full of tacos that were fucking donated to you, and you bought half of them, whatever it is, and you start handing out tacos. Most of the people, I want to talk about the reactions here, and that's where we're going to start. Most of the people that got these handouts, you almost got the vibe that they expected it. Like you almost got the feeling that they were like, well, how dare you didn't get here earlier? And I can tell you from first person perspective, that is absolutely how they look at it. 99% of the fucking homeless people don't look at their homelessness as their problem to solve. They look at it as the people's problem to solve, the taxpayers' problem to solve, the government's problem to solve, some non-government organization's problem to solve, some charity's problem to solve. Very, 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 very few people in the homeless community look at homelessness, their own homelessness, as their problem to solve. They look at that as they've got put there by other people, and it's up to other people to get them out. And that's why they're not in a home. That's why they're not stopping being homeless, because nobody's doing their part. That's my personal experience. You can fucking say what you want, but that's my personal experience from fucking hanging out and living with these motherfuckers, associating with these motherfuckers. Like I said, it just wasn't for me. Now, to build on the type of people that are homeless, the type of people that are homeless are not your average go-getters. They're not your average dreamers. They're not your average creatives. They're your average losers. We have to be honest about this. Remember, facts divided by feelings equals failure. We don't want to fail on this. If we want to fix the homeless problem, we've got to access the icky, sticky fucking parts that make us feel gross, because that's the realistic parts that we have to acknowledge, or we're just never going to fix anything. Most homeless people are homeless because they're fucked up on drugs, on alcohol. Most homeless people are fucking homeless because they're fucking lazy. They're misguided. They refuse to get themselves up and going again. They always look at it as somebody else's fucking job to fix them. The list goes on and on. This is the reality of the situation. You are not finding a bunch of doctors homeless. You're finding a bunch of drug addicts homeless. You're not finding a bunch of fucking valedictorians on the fucking street under the bridge. You're finding a bunch of meth heads. You're finding a bunch of alcoholics. You're finding a bunch of people with warrants that are on the run from the law. These are the people that you're finding homeless. So in order to fix anything, we have to embrace that fact right there. Homeless people are homeless because they choose to be homeless. Now, I know, I'm going to get them fucking handful of people come out of the woodwork and say, oh, but what? I happen to know somebody personally that is homeless because the state fucked them. I happen to know somebody that's personally that their whole family went homeless because the city fucked them. Everybody knows somebody personally that knows something, don't they? Everybody knows somebody personally that went homeless for no fault of their own, not a lack of financial planning ahead of time, no. It's always somebody else's fault. Everybody knows somebody that's working with the government that knows all this top secret shit that they can't tell you, but they told you. Yeah, everybody knows somebody. So when people come at you like that, if you have perspectives like this, tell them to fuck off. They don't know anybody. I guarantee you they don't. But these are the kind of people that you have. So what's creating the homelessness? Lazy entitlement. These people feel entitled to a life that somebody else provides them. That's why you go homeless. People that are not homeless have learned that you have to work for what you want. You have to work for a home. You have to work for a place to rest your little head. You have to work for this shit. People that aren't homeless have refused to do the work. That is as cold and plain and simple as I can make it. People that are homeless are refusing to do the work. Now, again, there are anomalies. We're not talking about those. We're talking about the vast majority of people. If you don't believe me, hit the streets. Grab your camera, grab your microphone, grab whatever you want to grab your dick. I don't give a fuck. Hit the streets and talk to these homeless people. Say, and ask them, what plans do you have to stop being homeless? What plans do you have to get yourself out of the situation you're in? And I guarantee you will hit exactly 0 fucking people. That's a big fat 0 that have a plan. Fucking 0 people that are homeless have a plan to not be homeless anymore. It's just the way it is. Most people that don't get to touch or sniff or taste or feel this lifestyle, you don't get it. You get what you get because that's what the narrative tells you. It's all about broken hearts, bleeding hearts, hope and fucking joy and all this other shit, grace and humanity and helping others. Guys, I would have you understand. Providing this kind of help is hurting people more than it's helping them. When you go to a homeless encampment with a box of fucking tacos, those motherfuckers just had a couple of tacos. They're feeling pretty good about some things right about now for the next 10 minutes. Then they're still going to need that hit of whatever the fuck they need to go fucking panhandle cash for. They're still going to need that drink. They're still going to be hungry. They're still going to need something. They're going to fucking go right back to the habits that got them homeless in the first place. So if you want to truly help these motherfuckers, you got to hit them with different help. If you truly want to help, let's say you go to that same encampment, 50 people of homeless there, you go to that same encampment, instead of the box of tacos, you have a couple of fucking psychiatrists in tow. You have a couple of therapists in tow. You have a couple of people that might have lived that life, got out of it, and now are willing to teach those fucking people how to not do what they're doing that keeps them where they're staying. That's how you fucking begin to help. You don't help starving people by feeding them. You help starving people by teaching them how to hunt. You don't help broke people by giving them money. You help broke people by teaching them how to manage the money they have. This is the real help. All the shit we see is really, for me in my brain, 90% of this, I'll go, okay, I'll give some grace. 80%. 80% of the videos you see of people helping other people, they're not helping those motherfuckers because they want to help. You're out of your fucking mind. They're helping those people because it gets them views and clicks, and those views and clicks get them paid. That's why they do it. That's why you'll see video after video after video after video of people sitting down at a restaurant and then giving $1,000 tip. Why did you give $1,000 tip? The service, for all intents and purposes, sucked. But you gave them $1,000 tip, and you just so happen to have your camera rolling. I get it. Now, I am also an advocate for charity on camera, because if we don't see it, people don't believe it happens. So it does need to be on camera. However, there's certain bullshit charity endeavors and acts that I just disagree with. Giving a waitress $1,000 fucking tip is retarded, especially when she's in her fucking 40s. Like, you need to get a skill. What can instead of me giving you $1,000, if you really want to give somebody $1,000, go take that $1,000 and pay for several months tuition on money management. Take that $1,000 that you wanted to get that would have given you points and clicks and whatever that. Take that $1,000 and buy an education for these people, or at least the opportunity for one. The opportunity to get some knowledge they didn't have to get them out of the situation they've gotten themselves into. Now, I also do understand everybody that's in a shitty situation didn't necessarily ask to be there. And, it is very easy to get a job just to get by and then wake up 10 years later and you still got that fucking job. I understand this. But if you really want to help these people, just giving them money isn't helping them. Giving them food isn't helping them. You have to teach and train these motherfuckers, not only on money management and making better decisions, but perception. Work with their mentalities and see how they really get into their brains and alter how they see life, because that's a lot of the reason these people have these addiction problems is because they see life so bleakly, they find no hope. And if you're not going to look out and you're not going to see hope, why not get fucked up? Why not stick needles in your arms? Why not fucking smoke tar off of fucking tinfoil? Why not do all this shit? There's no fucking reason to be here anyway, because everybody shits on me. The world shits on me. The government shits on me. I got no fucking food. I'm eating out of trash cans because I can't afford to live in this fucking materialistic world. Yada, 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 yada. You can't solve that by giving them more fucking drugs. You can't solve that by giving them a plate full of food. You can't solve that by giving them $1,000. You can solve that by putting in some effort. And that's just what people aren't willing to do. People aren't willing to really put in the effort. They're willing to put in the money if it'll get them something in return. If I can write this off on my taxes, if I can put this on the internet and get myself points and clicks so that I can get paid exponentially more amounts of money than I'm actually giving out in these videos, that's great. I mean, look at Mr. Beast is a perfect example. That guy has donated so much fucking money. And what did he do? And what did it do? It made him a million, trillion, bazillion times more than he ever donated. It's not a true endeavor of charity if you're looking to do it for a reason, and that reason is points and clicks. It's just not. It's good to have it on camera. It's good to show people that you're doing it. But when you're main goal is points and clicks, which is what these people's are. These people that I watched, their whole page, their whole shtick, their whole gimmick is doing this. Just going out and giving out $1,000 tips, going out and spending $1,000 on fucking meals for the homeless, going out and spending $2,000 on sweaters and delivering them to, that's their whole shtick. So your whole page is based around you doing, quote, charity work, and it's monetized. Isn't that funny how that works? That's really neat. You use people's good hearts to get you points and clicks so that you make more money than the people that are congratulating you for doing good, and you're getting paid from the people, technically from the people that you're giving the donations to that are so mostly grateful. I mean, a lot of people don't really give a fuck. In fact, speaking of don't give a fuck, I saw a video today. I went on a tirade in the comments because this fucking woman treated this guy like shit, okay? So it's just one of those hidden camera videos, or somebody's buddy's got a camera over there and they're going to fucking, video whatever this is about to happen. Well, this fucking dude walks up and he leans over like this woman is sitting in a park bench, in a very public area, like in a city center or whatever. No risk of any sort of fucked up things, a lot of witnesses. But he walks up and he's like, excuse me. He's super polite, super polite. Excuse me, miss, can I just have 1 second of your time? She's like, don't fucking talk to me. I don't talk to people. Fuck away from me. He finally convinces her to take this little folded up piece of paper. It's a pink folded up piece of paper. It was a black guy that did it and a black woman that received it, in case you ever see the video, because it is on Facebook. But he works his ass off to get her cunty ass to take this folded up pink piece of paper. And she opens the paper and it says, "You deserve to be loved." And then the video continues to watch her as she, and then she gets all sentimental and she gets all sad. I hit the comments because I got to see what people are fucking saying. And I remember every comment was practically the same. Oh, it's so beautiful. The world needs more human people like this. The world needs more beautiful humanity and love and cherishing and this and that and the other thing. And I was like, all I said was, no, you fucking don't. In reference to the note, you deserve to be loved. No, you fucking don't. How about that? Let's get some negative reinforcement so we can drop these fucking attitudes from these piles of shit that make humanity worse. No, you fucking don't deserve to be loved because a fucking fellow human came up to you in public with no risk to you at all, not asking you for anything, not wanting anything from you. A fucking fellow human approached you in public and you told him basically to get fucked because you're so special. Bullshit, you deserve to be loved. Go fuck yourself. How about you jump off a fucking bridge for what you did to that man when he was just trying to make you feel like a human when you're not. You're fucking absolutely not. Obviously, after I commented that shit, I had a lot of motherfuckers message me that they agreed. They're like, holy shit, I didn't see it that way. Thank God you were here, and now I can look at this shit different. I did, however, have the opposite too. A lot of people didn't like that. Everybody's deserving of love. Oh yeah, what about the pedophiles? Nobody? Everybody's deserving of love. You just said it. But nobody wants to talk about loving the pedophiles. Nobody wants to talk about rapists. Nobody wants to talk about loving child beaters. Nobody wants to talk about loving animal beaters, fucking dog fighters. Yeah, nobody wants to talk about that. It's just because it doesn't sound virtuous. It sounds virtuous when we go, the world deserves love. If you're a human being, you deserve love. That sounds virtuous. That sounds like the narrative we're supposed to be pushing. It sounds like what's going to get us points and clicks, so that's what we fucking say. But I say nay. I say fuck that. I say let's get to the reality about shit. If you really truly want to help homeless people, you got to stop feeding them. If you really truly want to help homeless people, you got to stop volunteering at the local homeless shelter. If you really want to help homeless people, you got to stop giving them fucking giant amounts of money out of nowhere with no fucking training on what to do with it. No supervision, nothing. You got to stop doing all the things that you think are so great and start doing the things that actually help. Like I said, if you want to help homeless people, get them a fucking education. Take that $1,000 you were going to give them or that $500 you were going to give them and get them some fucking education. Get them a fucking class at the local fucking college on how to manage money. That's easily affordable for that money, and it will pay off as long as he does his work or she does her work being the homeless person. As long as they do their fucking work, they do their part, it will pay off forever. Literally, it will just keep paying them. But instead, you give them $500, they spend it on a couple of bottles, a couple of fucking waxes, some crack, some other shit, and then it's all gone. It's all fucking gone. But you helped, right? You get to go home feeling virtuous because you didn't really have to put any effort in. You just had to put a little money out. That's all. And apparently money is no thing nowadays. Apparently everywhere you look, everybody's got thousands and thousands of dollars in their pockets that they could just throw all over the place in front of cameras. And, you know, obviously not for points and clicks. Duh. Like, you know, it's strictly for the fucking greatness of humanity and the goodness of my own heart. Fucking ridiculous shit. But these are the perspectives I hold on homelessness, because you can't fix it because not everybody wants it. There's a lot of people that I met while I was homeless that want to be homeless. They love to be homeless. They will never get a home. They get fucking thousands and thousands of dollars. I knew a guy named George, and I can say his fucking name because he ain't never going to listen to this because who knows what even happened to him. But I knew a guy named George. That dude, he would fucking say he'd be out panhandling. Look, you know, I'm trying to get a home, trying to get a fucking apartment, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, no, you ain't, motherfucker. And he's like, yeah, but they think I am, and they keep paying. They think I am, and they keep paying. That's why I don't give money to homeless. I 0% of the time, donate to homeless people. You walk up to my fucking car, I'm gonna put a gun barrel in your mouth. I don't want to see your fucking cardboard sign. I don't want to see your fucking cup. I don't want to hear about your fucking story. You are fucking yourself up. And until you start showing some progress, I'm not going to assist in whatever life you're living. It's not going to fucking happen. No. And if more people started doing this, I guarantee you the homeless problem, at least here in America, would decrease. It would decrease because these motherfuckers, if nothing else, they'd start starving to death, and we'd have to start scooping them off the street, and their numbers would drop that way. And as that happened, the rest of them would be like, holy shit, nobody's coming to save us. They've been coming around every single fucking day for the last 50 years, giving money out and giving food out and giving tents out and giving clothes out and giving all this other shit out. But nobody's coming around anymore to save us. Nobody's coming around to help us. Nobody's coming around to provide for us. And it's almost like we're going to have to start doing it for ourselves. And then they start doing it for themselves because tough love always wins. You know, nurturing love is great. Nurturing love feels nice. But tough love is always the best course, because even if it's not in the moment, long term, tough love pays off, because it puts you into a different state of mind. It puts you into the state of mind as, I have to fucking do this by myself, rather than I can't wait for somebody to come along and help me. Because that is really what you people are fucking teaching, these homeless people. All of you that are donating thousands of dollars to fuck, you know, like just handing out cash to these homeless people. All of you that are handing out food to these homeless people. All of you that are spending your time in a soup kitchen like it's something that's fucking you should be proud of. You're all teaching these homeless people to stay homeless because they're not learning that they have to get themselves in a better situation. They're learning that they have to just make it until the next person comes along with a bowl full of food. They only have to make it until the next person comes along with the $500 or the $100 or the $1,000 so that they can get what they need for a minute. You're teaching them this. This is what all people are teaching. All organizations are teaching. This is what is happening. These homeless people are learning how to stay homeless and wait for the next handout. That's why the very first shirt, and I'm going to be honest with you, this is exactly why the very first shirt released that under Savagely Loud, when it comes out, will say, fuck your handouts, because of this. because people need to stop with the handouts. If we want this world to get better, we have to stop with the handouts. If we want every race of people, black, Mexican, white, Indian, doesn't matter. If we want every single race of people to get better, we have to start holding each other to a standard, and we have to stop with the handouts. If we want every religion to get better, we have to stop with the handouts, hold them to a fucking standard. And if you're outside of our fucking standard where this is socially acceptable and not socially acceptable, we start fucking putting foot to ass. This is how we fix the world. We hold standards. We stop giving out handouts, and we stop training people to wait for the next handout. It's much like in business, okay? When you have a lot of sales in your business, okay? And I can tell you this because I own businesses. When you have a lot of sales in your businesses, do you understand what that does? Let's take a second. The real honest question. I'm not going to make if you don't know, you don't know. I'm going to help you out. When you have a business, let's say you go on Instagram and you see this business page all the time and they never have sales. What do? You go to the next page. You go to the next business and you look for sales. That is because so many businesses always have sales. Over the course of time, when it comes to product purchasing as consumers, we have been taught by businesses to wait for the sale. I know several business owners that do not have sales. I do not have sales on my equipment, on my merchandise, on my products, nothing. I'll take that back. 2 times a year, I'll do a sale. I'll do a Christmas sale and I'll do a my birthday sale because it's my fucking birthday and I own the fucking place. Every other fucking reason that these people use for fucking sales doesn't happen at these companies. And people appreciate that shit because we are working on breaking the cycle of training the consumer to wait for the sale. That's all that happens. And that's why it's harder to run a business that doesn't have a lot of sales up front. Eventually, you actually do better. But up front, it's a bit harder because here's the thing. You have to set the standard. Well, when you own a business, you're setting the standard for your product. You're setting the standard for how people perceive your product or your service, whatever this is that you're selling, you have a standard to hold. When you discount that standard or that product, or when you discount that service or that product, you're discounting your standards in the eyes of your consumer. They now see that $40 t-shirt is $25. So now they understand, hey, this motherfucker could be selling me this shirt for $25 all the fucking time, but it's always $40 fucking dollars. He's fucking me. But if you've got a brand that shirt is always $40 and it never fucking drops, that shirt's worth $40 fucking dollars, and that's what makes people want it because you are confident enough in your product to not lower the price just to get them to move. This is how everything works. You're training other people at all times through your own behavior. So if you have a business and you're having a lot of sales, you're just training your customers to wait for the sale. You'll never make retail value on another fucking product ever again as long as there's a sale coming next month. It's the way it works. If you're you're trying to help the homeless people by helping them keep and stay homeless, you're not helping. You're training them to stay homeless and wait for the next handout instead of become their own hand up. You know what I mean? You got to stop training these motherfuckers to wait for somebody to come give them a handout and teach them how to be their own uplifting source, their own hand up, not out. They got to get themselves out of this shit. Now, that being said, my charity organizations they were just that. They always went to local charities. But these local charities that I worked with, I interviewed extensively. I knew the operations. I knew what they did and who they did it for. These people were the people that fell on hard times. One event we did was a drunk guy in an SUV crashed through a brand new fucking townhouse that these people just fucking spent their entire life savings to get this little fucking townhouse. And he just drove through the motherfucker because he was hammered. And come to find out that the building owner had let some things in contracts lapse and it wasn't covered under insurance. So they had nothing. So we did an event for them. And what happened after that event? They got their shit together. They went and bought a fucking house with the money, or at least put that money. It wasn't enough to buy the house, but they put the money that we raised them towards a house. These are the people that I always helped. I never once, never fucking once will you ever see me in a soup kitchen. You will never see me slinging gruel to a bunch of homeless motherfuckers on a holiday. It won't happen. You might see me outside that motherfucker teaching these motherfuckers how to unfuck their own lives, but you ain't never gonna see me helping them keep their shit fucking crooked, keep their shit bent and on the street. It ain't gonna fucking happen, guys. So in closing on this topic, the help for everybody, the help that you think you're giving these people is not help. You're hurting these people. By not teaching them to be better, you're allowing them to stay bad. And that's very harmful to not only them, but their families, everyone they're around, and our society as a whole, not only here in America or states or cities, but on a global scale. Now, speaking of global scale, we have a lot of homeless people to fucking talk about. And most of them are not in America, which is good. But just to get into some really, really quick numbers, I want to give you the top 10 countries of homeless people. And I'll give you the numbers of homeless people there. Number one is Pakistan. That's 8 million homeless people. Syria is number 2 at 5.3 million homeless people. Bangladesh is number 3 at 5 million homeless people. Nigeria is number 4 at 4.5 million. Philippines is number 5 at 4.5 million. Uganda is number 6 at 4.16 million. Argentina is number 7 at 3.6. Sudan is number 8 at 3 million. China is, the country that tells everybody that they live wrong and how their system is the best one ever and all yada yada yada. They're coming in at 2.579 homeless people, and last in the fucking list of 10 is Nepal at 2.5 million. Now, the amount of fucking homeless people across the globe is astounding. Again, if you want to help these motherfuckers, you got to do it right. You got to teach them, not feed them. You have to inform them, not fucking pull them around, not force them. You've got to make them do them. You got to make them do it themselves. But you can give them the information they need. And once they start utilizing that information, you can give them the hand up that they made. Maybe they need a couple of $100. Maybe they need $1,000. Guy, I've been really working. I've been putting that information you've been giving me to work. And it's showing. I've got all this progress made. Is there anything we could do to, get me to that next level? That's when you start helping. That's when I have zero fucking problems. When these motherfuckers start doing all the fucking work themselves and then come to you with a track record showing they've been doing the work, absolutely fucking help them. That is when you start showing people that good humans actually exist. Just like the ones in our everyday segment or every episode segment called Hopelessly Human. And it starts a little bit like...
People can be really rough. They can be quite tough. They can get in the way, but at the end of the day, some aren't only stupid, some are hopelessly human.
All right, every episode I like to end the episode on a Hopelessly Human segment, and it's strictly just a way that we can see something that happened out there that proves that good people still exist. I got a short one for you today. It's labeled A Christmas Miracle. My parents got divorced when I was 10 years old. My mom and I struggled financially after that, and for our first few holidays, they were really, really hard. My first Christmas after the divorce was difficult and emotional for both of us, me and my mom. On our first Christmas Eve without my dad, our doorbell rang, and when I opened the door, no one was there, but someone had left an envelope. In the envelope was a card from, quote, Santa with a few $100 bills. Someone had anonymously tried to give us a great Christmas, and to this day, we still have no idea who it was. I will remember that forever. That is a real charitable endeavor. There wasn't a video there waiting to get points and clicks for the person that made the donation. I can tell you this was one of, so I ran I ran an organization called the Cynical Saints Social Club from 2013 to 2016. And in that 3 years, we raised over $150,000 for local charities. And every single Christmas, we would do something different. We would give many people Christmas. One year, we gave a counseling center for battered women and children. We gave 55 kids. We gave 55 children Christmases, good ones. And we gave their parents the ability to watch the happiness in their eyes as Christmas unfolded for them. And we've also done this. We've given families that were in need a full Christmas, tree, ornaments, garland, presents, everything. We delivered it. But when we did these things, we never, ever did it on camera because it wasn't about the points and the clicks. It was about the fucking humanity. It was about the love, and it was about picking people up. So, guys, as you go through your fucking life, if you want to help people, make sure you're doing it the right way. Make sure you're educating people and how they can help themselves, because that's the absolute greatest way you can help anybody. And if you guys, by the grace of God or yourselves or whatever, want to help me get these messages out, you want to help me get these episodes out, share them with your friends. You can also hit me on Instagram, Savagely Loud. On Instagram, you will notice a link on that page to Savagely Loud podcast page. You can follow me there, as it will inevitably be my backup page. You will also notice on my Instagram page at Savagely Loud a link tree with all the links to all my media sites and my pages. You can find me on Facebook, TikTok, X, and Rumble at Savagely Loud. You can find me on YouTube, and please find me on YouTube. Click the subscribe button, view my shit, like my shit, share my shit. Thank you for all of the help. You can find me, and you can email me in at savagelyloud@gmail.com. Guys, there's not much more to say other than, dude, fucking help somebody, but make sure you're helping them in the right way. I'm out.